good morning / afternoon, evening, wherever you are. We'll be starting shortly. Okay, I think we're good, Evan. What do you reckon?
We'll give it another minute or two.
All right, I'll start doing an intro. Just to let everyone know, obviously we're recording and transcribing, just so you're aware. But yeah, good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining. My name's Sam Nicholson from Prolifix, and I'm joined today by Evan Frohlich from Arrow ECS. And we've called this session Unlock What's Next with Microsoft Azure. And over the next 30-ish minutes, we'll cover a few things that come up in almost every conversation we have right now. So that's lowering cloud costs, modernizing faster, and actually getting value out of AI rather than just talking about it. Chances are at least one of those is on your mind already. And a quick one on who's who. Evan's at Arrow ECS. They could help organizations buy and consume Azure in a way that fits how businesses actually run. And I'm at Prolifix, and we sit on the delivery side, turning that investment into something that actually moves the needle. And between us, we'll give you the full picture from how to buy and use Azure and how to implement it properly. So just a quick look, quick run through of where we're headed today. We'll start with the business case for why now is the moment to act on cost, modernization, and AI readiness. Since that's usually the first question anyway, then Evan will walk you through a more flexible way to buy Azure, how to get real visibility over your spend, and the funded, de-risked paths for migration, including where SAP fits given the ECC deadline a lot of you are watching at the moment. Then I'll come back and cover what Prolifix actually brings to the table, some outcomes we've delivered elsewhere, and a practical roadmap you can walk away with today. By the end, you'll have a clear view of how Azure supports your priorities, hopefully some genuinely useful and practical ways to cut cost and risk, and steps for accessing Microsoft funding, which tends to cover more than people expect. So I will hand over to you, Evan, so you can set the scene for us.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you all for joining. My name is Evan Frohlich. I'm an Azure partner, sales specialist, Arrow, former Microsoft employee. So very understanding of the ins and outs of Microsoft, and work very closely with Prolifix, and hopefully here to improve your Microsoft understanding and experience. So what we're going to be discussing today, as Sam mentioned, is Azure. Why Azure? Why now? And there's a couple of pressures that kind of push you into, well, what is cloud? How does it work, especially around Azure? And what you guys are more than likely seeing if you have on-premise infrastructure is cost pressure. So one of the biggest topics that Microsoft has been discussing lately is the on-premise hardware costs and the capacity restraints. So that spend, and especially IT budgets, are looked at very carefully now. How are customers and companies allocating their resources and funding in IT? And Azure helps shift the possibly older infrastructure that you have within your environment into flexible usage-based spending, which we're going to cover down the line. But if you are seeing hardware costs and you're looking at renewals and the quotes only last 2 weeks, it's something that we're seeing across the board. Then AI readiness, of course. AI is the biggest hot topic across any industry, I would say, today. And there are multiple different tools for AI that I'm sure you guys are familiar with, or that your organization is using. So AI value depends on how secure is it scalable, is it governed, and do you have the ability to modernize your applications? Third, in the SAP Modernization, many of you might be on that timeline of the ECC deadline coming up in 2027. So that deadline is creating organizations some worry about, hey, when does this deadline hit? Are we prepared? What are we going to do to move forward and prepare for that? So the opportunity there is modernizing your ERP on Azure. So overall, we're looking at increased cost, increased risk. How do we responsibly deploy AI from our day-to-day operations into the cloud? And then how do we modernize and with the tools available. So flexible Azure buying that fits into your organization's plan. So what changes? Right now, on-premise costs, there's maintenance costs, there's the hardware, and it's usually CapEx. So what we're looking at, especially when we're looking into Azure, is that it's pay as you go. So there aren't any upfront commitments unless you're using a reserved instance, a savings plan, a reservation to cut some costs and commit to the 1 year, 3 year. This is pay-go. So what that means is based on your guys' spend today, that doesn't mean that your spend has to stay that way for the next couple of months. You can scale up or scale down however it fits into your organization's needs, and you can move subscriptions between partners, organization. Once you're in the indirect CSP model through Azure, it's elastic and it's very movable. And what this does, especially from on-premise, there's different support structures that support your on-premise infrastructure, but it's much, much more streamlined through the Azure route, through a partner like Prolific, working with Arrow, working with Microsoft, so that you have a partner-led billing and support structure that's very clear and easy to navigate. So why does this matter? So we want to align your spend to real usage. Data centers are becoming more and more costly to manage. And what we're seeing is that there's a lot of optimization opportunities within that. Moving it to Azure gives you that inventory really clearly and how you can optimize your workloads, which we're going to cover in a little bit. So simplify that ownership. You're managing your on-prem, it's there, it's tangible. When you add in partners like Prolific and Arrow, it gives you additional layers of support and helps you manage the infrastructure that you have today. We're going to help improve your costs and get visibility into your environment of where we can optimize the spend. And then a flexible modernization foundation so that you guys can move into the cloud and feel comfortable doing so. So when we're looking at cloud spend, moving into the cloud, sometimes it's daunting. But one of the key factors is visibility. So how do we know what the cloud journey is going to look like? How do we know what our spend is going to look like? How do we know what the management is going to look like? So these 6 key facts are really important. You're able to see your spend by resource, by grouping, by deployment, by location, by tags. There's multiple different ways to monitor your spend and what resources are deployed in which region and the ability to turn them up and spin them down. Setting guardrails is very important, especially when you're looking at budgets. So in Azure, you're able to set budgets and thresholds, and even alerts when you're getting close to that spending number. So I use Rocket Money, but if you're looking at tools and say, okay, well, what does my spend look like this month? I don't want to spend over $2,000 before my next paycheck. You can set similar thresholds within Azure and alerts that when you get close to that spending threshold to notify you and say, hey, take a look at this. So this is going to catch your overruns. If you guys have budgets in place, but you're launching new projects and you're building advanced workloads and clusters and Fabric or Foundry or whatever it may be, it's good to have those alerts set and to also identify anomalies. So I saw a spike. My spend went up 2 times today. Well, did someone deploy new resources? Is there a project I'm not aware of? It gives you control on a really single pane of glass platform. Copilot. I'm sure you guys have heard that, and hopefully you're using it today. But acting with AI, companies that are pushing off the adoption of AI are going to start moving behind other companies that take the competitive advantage to leverage the AI tools today. Azure's built around AI, multiple applications and tools and technologies within the platform leverage AI. So how do we reduce waste? How do we improve our efficiency? How do we move faster? And forecasting ahead. So Azure cloud, everything, it's not what does tomorrow look like? It's what does 3 months, 6 months, 9 months look like? We want to plan ahead so that when things pop up, when we have projects that need to take off, when we have deadlines that are being moved up, we're thinking about the long-term strategy with Prolific and ensuring that your cloud and your infrastructure is prepared for that growth. Migrating with confidence. This slide, so working with Microsoft very, very closely on a day-to-day basis, this slide is probably one of the most important ones that I'm going to cover here today. So Microsoft offers assessments for dark to cloud, for security, for AI readiness. All of these assessments are funded, and what they'll do is they'll give you clarity, confidence, and a roadmap on how to go from where you are today, whether you're on-prem, you're hybrid, you're just in the cloud, to what you're ultimately hoping to achieve. And these assessments cover pilots, deployment plans, taking into consideration where there are stale VMs or cost optimization opportunities. So starting with an assessment is the responsible best practice from Microsoft. Second piece of this is innovation backing. So when we're looking at investment paths and unified data platforms and the possibility of moving to Azure, we have the ability to leverage funding from Microsoft, which Sam's going to cover, which is very specific to a very small group of partners. So I'm not going to spoil what he's going to cover, but there's not many partners like Prolifics that have the access to Microsoft and funding that 99% of partners don't have access to. So that's really important when you're thinking about cloud and what the cost will ultimately be. Partnering with Prolifics will mitigate a large cost up front. Third is expert migration. So Prolifics, Arrow, Microsoft has engineers that are there to assist you, hold your hand across every step of this journey. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that has a lot of steps, and feeling comfortable with teams around you that have tons of expertise and experience in that. It's really, really important, because the word migration, people kind of get, oh, it's a migration. It's a scary word, but it's not when you have a great partner and a great team to work with. So, funded investments, 45 days or less to secure that funding once we have the POC and understand what you guys are looking to achieve. And we're covering 30 plus Azure services, which is a very, very, very large portion of what we've seen in the marketplace today. So touching on this, which is actually something that Prolifics has a specific specialty around, SAP Modernization. So that date, December 31st, 2027, is when ECC mainstream support ends. So what does that mean? So in December 2027, SAP will no longer provide standard support, security patches, or legal change packages for the customer's environment that are on the SAP ECC, which leaves you open to critical business and compliance risks. So how do we avoid that? Starting sooner rather than later. Cloud journeys, and when we're thinking about on-prem to the cloud, has to start earlier than, hey, we got a couple months, that's great. Plan ahead. Always recommend that. So we want to avoid the rising maintenance and support gaps, because you get that quote on August 6th. It might look different at August 26th. We want to make sure that you guys are secure at the end of the day, compliant and mitigating as much risk as possible, but also reporting that risk in a secure manner. Can we build paths to S/4HANA or Rise with SAP? Microsoft integrations and SAP is something that Prolifics has a very strong proclivity for. So we want to make sure that you guys have an AI-ready ERP foundation that's ready for your cloud growth, that's ready to deploy in the cloud, that's ready to move forward with your organization's progress. So instead of this being a deadline, the big deadline that's on that screen, it's a chance to reconsider how you guys are operating today. It's good. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Can we be better? Can we be smarter? Can we be more secure? Next one, Sam. This is probably, I have to take it back. This might be the most important slide, because we're kind of recapping on what we discussed here so far. So building a plan is really, really important. Building a plan with a partner that has your back, that knows how to do this, is more important. So these kind of 4 key things: flexibility, efficiency, modernization, future ready. We're going to get flexible by aligning spend to real usage. Let's make sure that there is no sunken cost. There's no waste within your guys' spend. Anybody that goes to their boss and says, hey, we found a couple extra $1,000 in our IT budget that we can reallocate for other projects or other endeavors within our organization, he or she is going to be a hero. Get more efficient. This comes with AI, this comes with Copilot, but it also comes with optimization before and after the migration. Let's get a roadmap. Let's get an inventory. Let's identify where we can save money and how we can push things into the cloud that's actually going to save us money while increasing our efficiency. The funded migrations are key, guys. Moving priority workloads with less risk or identifying tests. This isn't something we need to push for today. It's something that you want to see the value for and feel really comfortable about. There's multiple different ways to put your or dip your toe in the pool of the future. And we understand that. Flexibility and working around your schedule, your priorities is key. And fourth, getting future ready. There are a lot of companies today, I speak with them every single day, customers that are kind of considering this path, much like you. And it's, well, how do we modernize? How do we do this? What about our data? What about this? Does that mean I'm going to lose the tangible data center that's in my backyard? Everything that we're proposing here is based on Microsoft best practices that's in the top right quadrant of Gartner from a security aspect, and ensuring that what we're moving forward and how we're doing it is secure, governed data, and we're leveraging all tools available to get there, not quickly, but getting there efficiently. So, at the end of the day, if we can lower costs, mitigate risk, and provide more capacity for your team and coworkers to innovate, Azure's the way to go. And now I'll pass it back to Sam.
Thank you, Evan. So that's some of the why now and the mechanics of sort of buying and funding this transformation properly. But what I wanted to cover now is just a bit more about Prolifix, because obviously the platforms, it's only half the story, but the technology partnerships and the people you engage with are really important as well. So Prolifix has been doing enterprise transformation for more than 48 years. In fact, it was our 48th birthday a couple of months ago. So this isn't new ground for us. We've got over 2,000 professionals across 10 delivery locations, and we work with more than 150 Fortune 1000 clients. But the number I'd actually point you to is the 91% repeat customer rate. That's not just a stat for the slide. That's clients coming back project after project. And we're also CMMI level 5, which is the highest delivery maturity rating there is. And what that means in plain terms is predictable delivery, decisions backed by data rather than gut feel, and issues caught before they become your problem. So of course, credentials are one thing, but what matters is whether they translate into money and momentum for you, the customer. And Prolifix holds Microsoft solution designations across data and AI, digital app innovation, and infrastructure, and we're ECIF enabled across the US and Canada. Practically speaking, that means funded assessments and workshops, faster Azure adoption, and reduced cost and risk on your side. Of course, funding is always subject to Microsoft eligibility and approval, but where it applies, it's real money off the table. And it's one of the most underused levers we see, mostly because people don't know it's there and they don't know they can work with partners like Prolifix to utilize it. We've also packaged some of our most in-demand engagements on the Microsoft Marketplace, so you can see what's on offer without a long procurement cycle that might get in the way. This covers SAP S/4HANA migrations to Azure, agentic business transformation, moving AI out of pilot into production, business rule and policy discovering using AI to surface logic that's often buried in legacy systems, and data lineage tooling to trace how data flows across your estate. If any of that is relevant, it's all explorable on our marketplace page, and we're of course happy to speak to you afterwards or drop us a note after this webinar. Moving on, slide 11. I think I was on the wrong slide. That's slide 12. Sorry. So it's worth just being concrete about what ECIF actually supports. So that is strategic workshops and assessments, proof of concepts, cloud migration and modernization work, and also the technical enablement so that your teams know how to use what's being built. So if you're thinking, we know we need to move, we just haven't got a budget signed off, this is often the lever that gets things started, and it buys you the evidence to make that case properly. And if we just zoom out a little bit here, our work falls into three areas. So we have modernizing the core, so simplifying the complexity and building a genuinely secure foundation, building trusted data and AI, connecting governed data so AI outputs are reliable rather than confidently wrong, and automating and scaling so operations can get leaner too. And the same outcomes across all three. Whatever the industry, lower costs, faster modernization, AI you can trust, and stronger business value. One thing that slows transformation down more than almost anything else is fragmented delivery. Different vendors for infrastructure, data, applications, and nobody is owning that outcome end to end. And our model at Prolifix is one of a connected team. So we have cloud architects, data engineers, AI specialists, application developers, industry consultants, automation experts, innovation center engineers, all of these people and all of these teams working together to the same plan. And that's to the same measurable ROI. It sounds like a small thing, just to say one team, but it's usually the biggest difference that our clients notice, especially if they're comparing it to a program where that hasn't been the case. So slide 15, let's talk about AI specifically, since it comes up in nearly every conversation now. Evan's already mentioned it. It probably comes up in 50% of your conversations, if not more. A lot of organizations have rolled out Copilot. Licenses are deployed, people have logged in, but the business value hasn't really shown up yet. Usually that's because the AI is sitting in isolation rather than connected to real data or applications or workflows. And so at Prolifix, we focus on three things: connecting AI properly to trusted data, applications, APIs, documents, as well as automating genuinely high value work rather than novelty use cases. And then we scale that properly with the right security and governance. So it moves from something that's sort of pilot to something production grade and ready to go. Of course, done well, that's faster decisions, lower costs, and a better customer experience powered by Azure OpenAI, Copilot Studio, Foundry, Fabric. I think to summarize this slide on AI, the gap is almost always how it's connected and governed, not the tools themselves. And of course, we leverage all the relevant Microsoft best practice and the Microsoft tools to build instead of buy, to maximize your existing Azure investment where it might already exist, and to ensure that us, other partners, your own team, your own technical teams can support and grow that infrastructure and those platforms as they develop. So turning Copilot into some measurable business value. To make this sort of tangible for you, this is the breadth of what we work with on AI. Azure OpenAI, Copilot Studio, right the way through to some of the cognitive services and the agentic AI, all underpinned by responsible AI practices from the start, not bolted on afterwards. Those agents work across your actual applications, your APIs, your documents, your data lakes. They're not off to one side. And the outcomes we're targeting are the ones that the business actually cares about: revenue growth, cost optimization, productivity, and customer experience. That's the test for any AI investment, not is it clever? Is it shiny? Does it do something magical? It's about moving the numbers. Does it make a real impact? Does it deliver value? Can you demonstrate that ROI? Those are the important things for us. And so a quick real example, since it's more useful than just another list of capabilities. We have worked with a leading automotive manufacturer who had a familiar problem: fragmented data, manual pipelines. Somebody had to babysit the pipelines and the data platform, reporting that was always playing catch up. And what we built was a metadata-driven Azure platform with automated pipelines, governed data, Power BI analytics on top. So reporting became something people could actually trust rather than double checking quietly in a spreadsheet. And really the upshot here is faster insight, stronger governance and lineage, and a platform that's built to scale. So onboarding new data sources afterwards became straightforward rather than another 6-month project. And again, built on Azure, using the Azure toolbox of services and products, understandable, digestible. Any engineer can pick this up, but of course we have the capability at Prolifix, but it's built to Microsoft best practice within an enterprise landing zone. Whatever you need as an enterprise, at whatever scale you're at, we can build responsible and well-governed AI solutions that deliver the value. And that pattern repeats across industries, really. So in banking, we've improved risk visibility and accelerated regulatory decisions. In healthcare, we've modernized EDI operations and improved transaction visibility. And more broadly, we've helped clients reduce complexity and accelerate cloud adoption without disrupting the business while they did it. One client described us as a terrific partner, easy to work with. We understood their challenges from day one, and that's really what we aim for. We're not just delivering the technology for technology's sake. We want to be a true partner. We want to be people you choose to work with again and again. And of course, for everyone that's joined this call, our marketing team, I'm sure, will send you some relevant case studies for the organizations and the industries you work in, but feel free to find them on our website as well. And so just pulling all of that together, it comes down really to four things. Faster modernization with less delivery risk, trusted enterprise AI grounded in secure and governed data, optimized cloud value that cuts costs and improves resilience, and scalable innovation built on platforms ready for whatever comes next. And so what does this look like in practice for you? 4 stages, deliberately sequenced so that you're never committing further than the evidence supports. And again, demonstrating that ROI and that business value at every stage. So typically, first 30 days, we assess your estate, costs, agreements, could be your SAP priorities, where you fit for funding. 30 to 90 days, that's the plan, the business case, right-sizing the spend, securing funding perhaps, whether through ECIF or some other innovation pot. 90 to 180, we move, migrating priority workloads while optimizing as we go, not as an afterthought. And then ongoing from there is modernization. It's advancing things like the SAP implementation, data, AI, and applications as a continuous progress rather than a project that ends and then's forgotten. I think that last point is particularly important. A lot of transformation stalls because the first project failed, not because the first project failed, sorry, but because nobody kept the momentum going afterwards. A partner wasn't accountable for the end-to-end delivery of what it is you're trying to achieve, and that wasn't known and tracked properly within the business. So if you're not demonstrating the value and the ROI the business needs at every stage, and your technology partner isn't championing that and isn't being proactive in that process, that's how transformation programs fail, and they fail quickly. So a few more slides to go. Thank you for bearing with us. If you're thinking about where to start, 3 practical steps, none of which you particularly need to have made your mind up on yet, but there's some options here on the slide for you. So a cost and migration assessment to identify savings, risks, which workloads to move first, building your modernization path, prioritizing applications, infrastructure, data, and workloads for a phased move rather than everything at once. So again, the value and the ROI you need. And also how to use the Microsoft funding, which is going to bring engineering support, delivery expertise alongside the money itself. And I think for most people on this call, at least one of these is probably relevant for you right now. So some of our details are on screen. I think we're going to move soon to a Q&A, but obviously we'll follow up with you afterwards. And we genuinely welcome the conversation as well. So I think, Evan, that's everything we wanted to cover. Thanks for your time. And if you do have any questions, we have a chat, we have a Q&A. You're welcome, if you can, turn on your microphone. If not, we'll follow up with you via email afterwards. I hope you're walking away with a clearer sense of where to start. But yeah, we can take some questions now if you'd like, or please just reach out to us directly as well. And I will pause there. If people are allowed to speak, I'm not sure, but if you're free to use a Q&A in the chat as well. I don't know if anything has come through thus far. Are we going to receive an e-certificate after the event? I'm not quite sure what that means. We'll obviously send a copy of the presentation.
It's like Anushka said, we will be.
Yes.
Okay,
Mary's asked, are many large organizations using SAP Rise?
I'm not sure. Maybe one for you, Evan, you know?
I would say yes. Some people, I mean, there were original thoughts from other customers associated with like SMB mid-market organizations, but we have seen it taken into enterprise space more frequently. So the answer is yes.
Any other questions?
It actually has some big customers that are leveraging it today. So absolutely.
Great. I can't see any other questions. Michelle or someone, if you let me know if there is.
I don't see any further questions.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'll put our details back on screen here. If you want to book a call directly with us, I think we'll send a presentation afterwards, won't we? That link works. You can book a calendar meeting invite with one of the team. You can obviously reach out directly to anybody on this call from Prolifics or Arrow. But I think we'll wrap it up there, unless there's anything else from you, Evan.
Well, I would just highlight, so that book time with me is great, whether your organization is just starting out or you've been in Azure for a while, you have questions or you have a good experience direct with Microsoft or out another partner, whatever it may be. Definitely recommend booking a call with Prolifics just to get a state of the business. If there's ways that your cloud environment can be improved, funding opportunities, like I mentioned before, Prolifics has solution partner designations and ECIF eligibility, which working in the partner ecosystem for years, it's very, very seldom. We're less than 2% of partners. So it doesn't hurt to book time with Michelle and team and say, hey, this is what we're receiving today. This is the support experience that we see. This is the engagement that we have. Is there a way to do it better? Should we start looking at the cloud a little bit earlier? What are these costs? Do they make sense to you? Recommend just taking a temperature gauge, booking some time with us, and seeing if there's any way we can improve your Microsoft experience.
I think that's a nice way to end. I think I'll try and one-up you a little bit, Evan, and say that we do offer cost optimizations, specifically looking at 365, Copilot, Azure costs, that sort of stuff. There's no obligation there. They're free. We can look at your estate, especially if you're trying to do Copilot adoptions or if you've bought licenses already. But across everything, SharePoint, 365, Azure, we can look at the spend, how you're using things, perhaps, and we see this all the time. You do a quick assessment of your current estate. All of a sudden, that's freed up an amount of money to go and do some more innovative POC stuff or fund something else and get some of that money back on the table. So, yeah, please feel free to speak to us. We'd love to speak to you. I think there's no more questions, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Great. I think we'll finish it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.